Hey guys, how you doing? This is Andrew Sims with the Sims Consulting Group, and we're going to continue what we were talking about a little bit on Servant Leadership Sunday. We're going to bring it on to Worship Wednesday, which is today, and we're going to kind of continue in that aspect where people are waiting for perfect conditions to kind of really start to do those things that God has called them to do, that they want to accomplish, that they believe that they're as part of their purpose. And this scriptures we're going to talk about is really the process of walking by faith a little bit when it comes to doing those things that God called you to do, stepping out, venturing out, man, and trying to accomplish, like I said, those things that you believe are part of your purpose or the reason for you being here. And this scripture is Psalms 23 Psalms chapter 23 verses 1 through 4, and it says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right path for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff comfort me." And again, this is Psalms chapter 23, verses 1 through 4 in the NIV version. And part of that I want to pull out is the fact that God is leading you. And this is Worship Wednesday, so I'm talking to specifically the Christian business person, or the believer that's in business. When you believe that God has called you to operate in this business arena, regardless of the industry that you're in, you believe you've been led into that. Like we would like to say you've been led into that, or something about you that's being pulled in that direction, right? You have a desire for that, man. It's part of what you do. You think about it. You sleep. You dream about it. It's part of something that really motivates you and draws you in, right? So those are the way in which God led me. What I believe He leads people to is He kind of prompts you. These are the things that you feel passionate about, the things that make you cry, the things that make you smile, the things that you're drawn to, right? It's part of the way God leads you into what He's called you to do. And He says He'll lead you beside quiet waters, right? Now that, like I said, we talked about it yesterday, or it was Servant Leadership Sunday, but we actually did it yesterday. It doesn't mean that there's not going to be trouble. You know what I mean? Along this path of God leading you into what He's called you to do, whether it's starting your own business, becoming self-employed or whatever have you. God is leading you down these directions. So you want to make sure that you're following Him, right? He leads you behind still waters. He also, during that process, He's going to refresh your soul. So although things may not be perfect, as He's leading you, as you're going through, from glory to glory, He's going to refresh you. He's going to give you what you need to continue on, to keep progressing, to keep pushing, to keep, knocking down those doors if you have to, in order to accomplish what He's called you to do. Yesterday, me and my wife were watching the movie, the Book of Eli, and it has some really important concepts in there, man. As far as, man, he said he woke up one day and he was prompted or led by a voice in his head to take this book, which was the Bible at the time, and to go west. And he said he will find the right place when he gets there. Basically, he'll know the place when he got there. And that's the same thing that Abraham had to do. God told him, man, get away from your people, get away from your countrymen, and go to a place I will show you. Abraham didn't know that place specifically, but he was walking by faith. And I think some of us, while we have these dreams in our head, while we have these ideas, we don't necessarily know specifically how to get there. But we know it. We'll know it when we arrive, right? So we got to walk by faith. And while we're walking by faith, we're trusting that God is leading us beside quiet waters and refreshing us along the process. And He says He guides me along the right path for His name's sake. And that's important. That's an important statement, right? Because it's not. See, it takes a lot of pressure off when you know that you're doing what God has called you to do, so you don't really have to have that second thought or doubt that it's something that He will support. It's something that He will open doors, that your prayers will be answered, because it was originated with Him. Like we talked about, like I said, on Servant Leadership Sunday, whereas sometimes we get caught up in thinking that these ideas are our own, that we're this intelligent, super smart, person that has come up with this pattern for our lives, based out of our own ability to reason and think and logic and what we think is right? But that's not the case. A lot of times these things have been placed in us by God, and it says He'll lead us along the right path for His name's sake. So you don't have to beg God. You don't have to cry out and lose your cool, man, when it comes to going through these these rough patches if you're going through one, because he's gonna lead you to the right path. It may not be the pressureless path. There's still gonna be some things you have to go through, but it's gonna be the right path, and it's gonna be for his name's sake. So trust that as you start to do things that he's called you to do, he's going to honor that by making you prosper in those things for his name's sake. And it says, even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. That's very important, because it kind of highlights the point I just said. Just because you're walking with God when it comes to business, or when it comes to whatever it is you're trying to do, man, lose weight, you're trying to get healthy, you're trying to walk in your healing, man, you're trying to be the best teacher you can be, the best nurse, the best pastor, the best preacher, the best father, doesn't mean that you're not going to go through dark places, right? And it says, I walk through the darkest valleys. The darkest valley, to be more specific. I walk through the darkest valley. There are going to be dark days, even though you're walking with God. But it says, I will fear no evil, which is a choice. You don't have to fear the outcome when you're walking with God. You can rest assured that he will lead you along right path for his name's sake. And it says, for you are with me. God is always with you. And just because God is with you, again, it doesn't mean that circumstances won't make it seem like God is not with you. Right? We talked about if you wait for the perfect circumstances to start your business or start whatever it is that you're going to do, you'll never start it. And just because those perfect circumstances are not readily, something that you can readily see, doesn't mean that God is not with you either. Because again, as you walk through the darkest valley, God will be there with you. It says that he will be there with you, because his rod and his staff shall comfort you. His power shall comfort you. His ability to guide you through those tough situations should bring comfort to you. And most importantly, his word should comfort you. Right? You got to start to, this is something I practice. I write down the things that I believe God is speaking to me. Because again, you could get a word from God. I'm kind of being churchy, man. Well, you can believe God said something to you, right? Not through an audible voice, but you can believe God made an impression on your heart, right? And he said, this is what I want you to do. This is why you're here. You're here to make a difference in this particular area, in this particular way. And it could be years before you actually walk that thing out, or it could be weeks. It just depends on your situation, right? I'm not saying that you gotta wait years, but at the same time, right, there's going to be some time between the time that God tells you that and it actually comes to fruition. David got called the king early in his life, but it took a little while for him to get there. He had to go back out into the fields with the animals, right? So it wasn't that it happened overnight. It doesn't happen overnight, because you need to be prepared for what God is going to give you, because it takes some sustainability in order to maintain it. You have to be able to sustain the blessing that God has given you. So he will comfort you, right? He will sustain you, and he will give you the ability to sustain the blessing that he's given to you. So don't fret, man. Don't rush the process. It's going to take time from the time that God speaks it into your life until you see it. But understand something. He will lead you for his name's sake. The Sims Consulting Group is here for God's name's sake. And I believe I have a specific work to do while I'm on this planet, right? And I'm not going to give y'all all of that at this time, but I believe I have a specific work to do. And I'm not ashamed about that, because I believe God has called me to that. So because this being in front of this camera thing and talking, that's really not my personality. I'm much more behind the scenes. I'll give you the information, help you make the best decision, but I do not like being in public eye like that, man. It's kind of contrary to who I am. But I'm fine with that, because I know whatever I need along this road, God shall provide for me, because he's leading me. So I want to say that to you, man. Be encouraged and understand that God is a part of this, man. He's the author and finisher of your faith. He's going to help you start, he's going to help you in the middle, and he's going to help you sustain it. And hopefully it's bigger than something that's going to just last your lifetime. It's got to be bigger. It's got to be bigger, because God is about winning people and bringing people into his kingdom. So it's not just to make money, right? You may finance a church. You may win people to God that no pastor ever could, because of the simple connection that you're going to have through whatever your business is or your industry. So take take this seriously, man, as you start to launch out and do the things that you believe God has called you to do, because you are definitely going to be changing lives as you go forward, man. So once again, this is Andrew Sims. That was Psalm chapter 23, verses 1 through 4, man. And we're just going to continue on this Worship Wednesday. Y'all be blessed, man. Peace.